Dollar Tree jute rope is trending right now, so let me show you how to turn it into beautiful high-end home decor on a budget. Hi, I'm Loli. Let's create something beautiful and find a little joy along the way. For this project, we'll be using one of these ibuprofen bottles. I removed the sticker, I removed the cover, and I'm going to take some jute cord. I'm going to burn off the faucets of my jute cord, add a little bit of hot glue at the bottom of the pill bottle, wind the end of the jute cord just a bit, and then start wrapping it. As I'm going along, I'm adding a little bit of hot glue next to the jute cord, which is a little, not so much that it will seep through on the edges. And I continue to do this process until the entire bottom of the pill bottle was covered, and then I started going up the sides as well. I continued to add hot glue as I was winding the jute cord until I went over that lip. And then here that the bottle is pretty much the same width, I'm just wrapping the jute cord close to each other as you see there, making sure that there's no gaps in between. Here I'm not adding any glue, I'm just using the pressure from the jute cord to keep everything in place. And I continue to do this process until I got pretty much to the section of the pill bottle that started to be tapered. Once I got to the tapered edge, I added hot glue every time I added jute cord. Here it is easy for the jute cord to slip away, so this is why I'm doing this, and I'm making sure to add the minimal amount of hot glue so I don't have that seep through the jute cord and I don't have that hot glue stains all around my jute cord. I want this to be nice and neat. And I continue to do the same process until it was covered all the way up, including the threads where the cap would have been. Once I got to the top section here, I am wrapping it in the inside of the bottle a little bit as well. I'm gluing it onto the jute cord that I added before and onto the wall of that medicine bottle as well, just so I'm able to cover up all of the white section on the opening. And once I had it wind up exactly as I wanted it, I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the excess jute cord on an angle and go ahead and glue down that piece as well. Then I took the entire piece and I'm just going to burn off the fuzzies off of the entire thing. And I love how this gives it a nice charred look. I do like this agent that the fire does to the jute cord as well. I'm just going to go ahead and rub off any excess little pieces that are just laying there charredness. And then I'm going to take some jute cord. I'm going to take 3 pieces of jute cord. I took one and folded it in half as you see there. Cut that section, and then I cut another piece that's the same length as this one, creating 3 strands. Then I took those 3 strands and I taped them down to my table. Now I'm going to begin braiding this. I'm just going to braid it as I would with hair, just being very careful to keep my braid nice and flat against that table. And I just kept bringing it in, bringing the outer one in each side at a time. Kept doing that until I got all the way to the bottom. Then I took a small piece of jute cord and I'm going to use it to tie here at the bottom. But I'm going to glue it on. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue onto that edge of the braid. Then add the jute cord to that little end and wrap it around and glue it again on the same side here at the bottom. And I did this for this bottom section and I also did it for the top. And trimmed off the excess off the bottom. And this is what it was looking like. And just making sure that it's not stiff because I will be putting this around my pill bottle. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue on the neck of the pill bottle. Glue the middle section onto it. Again, making sure that I don't have any hot glue seeping through to the edges. I just wrapped it all the way around and then cut off the excess. Making sure that I had enough to completely butt up against the other side. And then I glued that down so it will be a nice seamless transition. And then I burned off the fuzzies one more time. To further embellish this piece, I took one of these wood hearts that I got from Dollar Tree. It comes in a pack of many of them. And I'm going to glue it right here at the center of my little jar. Look how adorable that looks. I added some of these florals from Dollar Tree to the jar. Look how cute this turned out. Let me know what you think about this one.
This project is a trash to treasure. I took this container that I got from Dollar Tree. This was body wash, and I'm going to add some jute cord to it. I started adding it without doing anything to the can, but it was not sticking properly. The hot glue came right off. So I took my zip sander and I completely sanded down the entire bottle. And then proceeded to add the jute cord to the bottom, and this time the hot glue stuck and worked just perfectly. And I just did this until I did about 2 resolutions of the jute cord here, and then I started wrapping the jute cord all the way until I got to pretty much 2/3 of the bottle. One tip I will give with this is try to use as little hot glue as possible, because as you use more, then you have to spend time scraping away any places in which the hot glue created any bumps, which will make your jute cord not be, straight butted against the other one, and it will be all messy. So just try to create the cleanest lines when you're doing the hot glue, and then just continue to do that. And when you do these first 2, these are pretty much the foundation of the rest of the project, so just be very careful and take your time with this step. From here, it was smooth sailing. I just began to wrap and wrap and wrap until I got to the very top. Actually, not the very top. I got to about 2/4 up the bottle. I thought this was the perfect spot for my next step. I decided that I wanted to take some of this mineral from Waverly and paint the entire top section. Once it dried, I came back and I'm going to go ahead and do about 2 more revolutions with the jute cord just to cover the edges, but being again very careful, especially in this edge, because you want it to be nice and clean. Then I glued down the final little section, being very careful again not to add too much hot glue. And then once it was positioned nicely, I just cut off the excess, and I'm cutting my jute cord in an angle so it would look nice and seamless. And this is what it's looking like so far. Then I took some of these flowers from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue it to the middle of my jute cord here. Just going to position it right there and press it down. I am adding the hot glue to all the little ridges that it had. And then I decided to take some of this ribbon from Dollar Tree as well. I thought it was the perfect finishing touch for that edge. And I added it to this section right here at the top of the jute cord. And I also added it to the top section of the bottle. Just adding a little bit of hot glue in different sections. Again, being very careful so the hot glue will not seep through the ribbon, and at the same time that it will not seep over the ribbon either. So this will look nice and neat when I'm done with it. And what I did to this middle section, I'm also going to do to the top to cover up the threads. All right, and this little touch finishes this project. You can use it to either put on some flowers. Some pampas grass will look perfect also with this project to give it more of a boho look, or you can leave it as it is. The possibilities with this project are endless. Let me know in the comments section, what do you think about this project? Let's start with this glass base from Dollar Tree. I'm going to go ahead and use also some of this rope as well. But I'm going to use this half first that I had left over from another DIY. Using some hot glue, I'm going to start gluing it on the very base of the vase. And I'm doing it here standing up to make sure that I am not gluing the rope a little bit too far up, in which things will be unstable. So here I'm just making sure to do it on here so everything is nice and even and the vase is sitting correctly on the tabletop. Once I got to the end of the rope, I'm going to start the next rope where the other one ended. And what I did was I just cut it very straight and then put all the bristles together. They have it nice and flat, so it has a nice seamless transition from one rope to the other. And I continued winding it up until I got all the way to the top. Here at the very top, I'm going to add hot glue a little bit closer inward from on top of the rope, where the rope and the base meet it together. And I went all the way around until you no longer can see the edge of the glass. Once I got there, I'm going to go ahead and cut the rope, but I'm going to cut it towards the bottom of the rope in an angle upward. That way I have a nice seamless look at the end here. Just makes everything look nice and level. And I'm just making sure to add glue right there at the edges to make sure that that rope stays together and it has a nice seamless hold as well. And this is what we got so far. I'm going to take my lighter and I'm going to go ahead and cinch up all those little hairs from the rope until this is nice and clean. Then I'm going to go ahead and smack it around a little bit just to remove all the excess little pieces that still stay stuck onto the surface. And then I'm going to take the remainder of the rope. I'm going to cut it nice and straight as I did before. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit out of angle here, but I'm making sure I add a little bit of hot glue in between all the bristles, then putting them together right there so they're nice and formed, and then cutting it nice and straight so I'm able to unite two edges seamlessly. So what I did to this side here, I'm going to do to another side as well. Once I cut the piece to be the opening to my beehive, I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue to one of the edges, and I'm going to hold them together, trying to keep them as equal as possible, as even with each other as possible, so it looks like a round or a circle, and you can barely tell where it was united together. Once it was nicely formed, I'm going to come in with some of this black paint from Anita's and completely cover that rope. Now it's time to go ahead and attach it to my beehive. So I'm going to just measure it to see exactly where I want it. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue to attach it to the front. My friends, if you enjoyed this video so far, don't forget to leave me a big thumbs up. Okay, now I'm going to add some more of the black paint to that opening of the beehive. I'm just using a generous amount of paint right there. I'm just using a brush. I'm going to make sure to get it in between every single nook and cranny of the rope. Once it's dried, I'm coming in with some of this hot glue. It's gold hot glue from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to add it all around the opening of the beehive. I just want this to look as if it's honey just dripping out of the hive. So I'm just trying to just let it like fall where it wants to, so it looks nice and natural. So I added it to mostly to the bottom, and then I'm going to also go around the entire opening of the beehive. But first, I'm going to add one of these little bees to that section right there before the hot glue dries. Then I'm adding more hot glue around the circumference or the perimeter of the opening as well. And now it's time to add some more little bees here and there. I'm just figuring out exactly where to put them, and I decided to put one right there. I'm adding hot glue to glue them on. These come with little puffy pieces underneath, but I'm deciding to add hot glue because it doesn't always have the same hold. And I didn't remove it either because I wanted them to be a little bit raised off the surface. Then I decided to use some of these little sunflowers that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to go ahead and cut them off their stems, and I'm going to add this one at the very top of the hive. And I'm gluing it using a little bit of hot glue. If you enjoyed this video so far, I would really love it for you to join the family and subscribe. My goal is to reach 2,000 subscribers by the end of this month. Please help me achieve my goal. Thank you. All right, guys. So here I'm taking a smaller of those little paper sunflowers from Dollar Tree, and I'm adding it a little bit further down from the bigger one. And I'm going to continue to do this all the way down, and I'm going to be slanting each one of the flowers a little bit further out until I go completely around the opening of the beehive and all the way down to the base of the vase. But in the midst of it, I decided to add some leaves as well. So I'm just adding some leftover leaves that I have from my previous DIY. This is just from that little garland piece that you see there. I'm just going to add some of the leaves towards the back section of the biggest sunflower, just to add a little bit more interest to it. And this is how we're looking like so far. And back to the sunflowers, I continue gluing them all the way down until I got to the base of the vase. Then I added some sunflowers into the vase. I got these from Hobby Lobby. They were on clearance 90% off, so I actually paid $1 for them instead of $10.99. And look how beautiful this turned out. My inspiration for this piece is here from this Southern Girl can, and this is her version. It came out stunning. And here is my version. I hope you like it. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. For this project, I'll be using one of these glass vases from Dollar Tree and some jute twine. I'm going to start at the bottom by adding a little bit of hot glue to the bottom of the vase. And then I'll be adding the jute cord to it, holding it in place until it dries. And I'm going to continue to do this until I go all the way around the base of the vase. And from there, I'm going to start just wrapping the jute cord very close to the previous revolution, going very carefully, making sure that the jute cord is taut and that everything is being nice and neat. And I did that until I got about a third up of the vase. At this point, I started adding hot glue to every time that I went around with the jute cord, because since it's getting tapered at this point, the jute cord was beginning to separate. And to avoid doing that, just keep adding hot glue until I got to all the way, almost halfway up. And then I removed the excess jute cord and added a little bit of hot glue to that portion and make sure that it was stuck down nice and neat. Then I took my lighter and I am cinching all of the jute cord so I have that nice clean look, and at the same time I love that look of the cinching of the jute. Then I took one of these little sauce containers from Dollar Tree and I removed that sticker at the bottom of the vase, and I'm going to add a combination of E6000 and hot glue to these pieces. I added the E6000 to the bottom of the vase, and I'm going to add a bead of hot glue to the rim at the bottom of that small sauce container. And then I'm going to place it at the bottom of the vase. And this is what it's looking like so far. Let me know what you think so far, but I'm not done yet. Next, I took one of these flowers from the Dollar Tree and I glued it to the middle of the jute cord, just using some hot glue. It looked cute to me, but I thought I needed a little something more. So I took some of these small pearls that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm going to add them to the flower. I'm going to take the tiniest amount of hot glue and add it onto the petals, the middle of the burlap petals on each one of this middle flower. And I'm going to add a small pearl to each one. And I did it with each one of the petals. I feel that this gave it the perfect look. Look how cute this look. And let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this piece? And I'm going to use one of these eggs that I had left over from Easter, and I'm going to use some of this rope as well. I actually ended up using 1.5 bundles of rope. I started by removing the tape that was at the edge of that rope, and I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue in between all the bristles right there, and then I'm twisting the rope in the same direction in which it is twisted naturally, and I'm going to seal the end and then cut off any excess. Then I'm going to just go ahead and loop the end against itself on here, making it nice and tight so I can use this at the very top of my egg. I added some hot glue at the top to hold it in place, and then I kept wrapping it using hot glue in every single time that I went around, making sure to leave no spaces in between the rope. And I continued doing this until I wrap the egg 2/3 of the way down. At this point, I ran out of rope, so I'm going to start a new one by removing the tape, adding some hot glue, and making the edge nice and flat. I'm going to start right against where the last rope ended. Once I got it to this
area right here in which the egg started tipping down again, there's where I stopped. So I'm going to take my scissors, go ahead and cut off that excess piece of cord, and we are going to tack it down. Using a metal ruler from Dollar Tree, I'm marking off where I need to cut off the excess egg, and then I came in with my X-Acto knife and using that pattern, and I just went over and cut it that section, and then came back in with the metal ruler one more time to completely cut it off. And this is how it's looking so far. Then I'm going to take one of these rings that I got from Dollar Tree, and I painted it black. Then we are going to attach the ring to the bottom section of the beehive. But first, I had to burn off the fuzzies. And then we are going to glue that ring to the bottom section of the beehive. Now it's time to color in the inside, and I just added some more of that black paint and put it right through there. I should have really left the ring its natural color, but I don't know. For some reason, I wanted to make it black. Then I took some felt from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and cover the bottom of my beehive using that. I want to take a quick moment to say thank you to my subscribers for subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing. All these things help me tremendously. They help my channel grow, and I appreciate you very much for them. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe and join the Lolly D's Creations family. It is free, and it means the world to me. Well, guys, as you see there, I just trim off the excess using my scissors. I use this scissors and my detail scissors until you no longer can see the felt from the size of the hive. Now here comes my favorite part. It's time to embellish this. So I'm trying to decide exactly what I'm going to use. So I decided to use one of these sunflower flowers from Dollar Tree. And we are going to glue this on the very top of the beehive. Then I took some of the smaller ones and I'm going to go ahead and add it a bit lower than the bigger sunflower. If you enjoyed the video so far, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Sharing is caring. And it helped me share my content with even more people. Now it's time to add some bees. I'm just going to add some hot glue to the back of the bees and add them in different positions. I'm going to add this one right underneath the flowers. I'm going to do another one right at the opening at the beehive, and we're going to go ahead and put one on the other side to eliminate some of that negative space on the other side of the beehive. And look how cute this has turned out. This is my inspiration piece. It was done by Robin from Craft Unleashed by Robin. Make sure to check out her channel. She is so talented. And here it is, mine all completed. Let me know what you think.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, here are a couple more videos you are sure to enjoy. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're amazing. Bye.